Hello. So today you're going to be starting your practice for your first unit in English class. Lots of ums there. Um, so I wanted to talk to you about writing with textual evidence because this is going to be a big thing and this is going to be really important on the end of course exams. So I want to upfront get you these skills and talk about them and get you practicing them. Okay. So whenever you're answering a question in English class, you have to support it with textual evidence. Okay. If you're asked to write, you should have a quote or a summary of what's going on in the work that explains your idea, okay? And to do this the right way, you need to have a few things, okay? Number one, you need to introduce your quote. Usually your quote is supporting some kind of claim, okay? So we have our claim, and then we provide our textual evidence, our quote, and then we have to go and explain why our quote supports our claim, which sounds really confusing. But let's go through it here, okay? So this is our text, okay? And this text is all about when is a planet a planet? Following up with that Pluto lesson you've already been working on. So in 2005, an American astronomer, Mike Brown, discovered an object larger than Pluto, 23 UB 313, which therefore was dubbed the 10th planet. It was officially named Eris by the International Astronomical Union, the IAU, which is so much easier to say. Later, it was found to have a companion, dysnomia, which corresponded to other planets and their moons. If the status of Eris is debate, however, what was to be done with Pluto? So you can see here that the founding of this planet actually made it so that something needed to happen to Pluto, right? In the solar system, Pluto is different than other planets. Unlike the others, its orbit is very elliptical and every so often comes inside that of Neptune. Furthermore, it was always thought strange that the 4 rocky planets were followed by 4 gas giant planets. I'm sorry, I didn't read those. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, with a rocky Pluto as an anomaly at the end. Other problems arose with the more recent solar system discoveries. Many of these objects had orbits at high angles of inclination to the ecliptic. The orbit of Eris, for example, is inclined to 44 degrees. In addition, their orbits were very eccentric. Some of the new objects had strange shapes. 2003 EL 61, for instance, has the shape of a rugby ball. I don't know if that's like a football or not. I'd have to look it up. But I know it's shaped like some kind of ball that's different than round, right? Okay, so what we need to do is we need to answer some questions about this, okay? So I'm going to pretend my first question is, why did Eris create a problem for Pluto, okay? So my claim is the size of Eris makes it as much as a planet as Pluto. So that's the claim I'm making. And in order to back up this claim, so this is the part that you will write. Okay, when you do the EOCs, you'll actually be writing this answer to this question. And then you add your textual evidence. Okay, but I'm giving you the claim. I'm only asking you to do the textual evidence part of this. So in response to that claim, okay, I can say that it was larger, so it should be considered the 10th planet, right? So I'm going to copy this. I'm using my Control C again, okay? And then I'm going to paste it in. And I have the quote, but I can't just plop the quote in there, right? I need to have my claim and I need to have an introductory phrase. So my phrases that could introduce according to the text states, according to the author, as stated in the passage. Now, I can also say the author says, right? And I've given you the author, so I'm going to say his name, but I'm not going to say it aloud because I actually have no idea how to pronounce that name. I would have to look it up and practice it, and for our purposes, we just need to know how to paste it in here. So it's not important that I don't know how to say it, right? So this dude says, and then I have my quote, right? Okay, now I have given you the quotes for the other ones. What I want you to do now is pause this video And I want you to try to figure out which quote supports the idea that Pluto is not like the other planets in the solar system. When you found the quote that you think goes here, I want you to come back and see if we agree. Okay, so I'm going to assume you were responsible and you paused, okay? The quote, and I've highlighted them for you, okay? The quote here actually could be either one of these, okay? Unlike the others, its orbit is elliptical, so that's one way that Pluto is different. It was always strange that our 4 planets, Mercury, Venus, and Earth, and Mars, right? That whole sentence, okay? So I'm going to grab the first one first, okay? And I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to say, and I am totally fine. I know people like to get creative, and it gets repetitive saying the author says, but it's totally correct to do it that way. So I'm going to go ahead, put my quotes around it, and this is what he says. Now, next time we do a writing practice together, we're going to be talking about doing that explain part. But right now, I just want you to go through and answer the quotes to these for these claims, okay? And then when we get down here, you're going to have questions, and you're going to have to write your own claim, okay? So go ahead and pause the video and do the rest of this section. Okay, so you're back. We're going to talk about part 2, okay? So part 2, I'm going to go ahead and skip the reading of the text, okay? So I want you to do that now and pause the video because I want you to do that one by yourself. Okay, so here's my example based on the text. How does making Pluto a dwarf planet make it less special? Use a quote to back up your answer. And it won't always say this, but this is always implied with an English question. So, making Pluto a dwarf planet, notice I repeated what it said in the text in my claim, makes it less special because there are more dwarf planets. So, my evidence from the text is right here. There are more than 40 dwarf planets. So, if there's more than 40 of them, it's definitely a lot less special. Okay? I probably could have even used this one. We know of 44 dwarf planets, Brown said, and so far it's a huge category. That totally would have supported this too. Both of these would have worked. So then I have the text says. Okay, so now's the big challenge for you. I want you to finish this sheet, and you're going to need to make some claims. Okay? Actually, let's do this one section together. Why is it necessary to change the definition of a planet? Okay, so if I scroll back up, I went too far. Okay. Why is it necessary to change the definition of a planet? Part of the reason is because there was never an official meaning for the term before. So that's my yellow quote. It's right here, right? So you would copy this and paste it, right? Okay, so now I need to make my claim. Usually I like to find my quote before I make my claim because I'm looking up there for the answer anyway. So I can come up here and say, it is necessary to change the definition of planet. And I am super lazy. I don't like to type on the screen. So I will copy and paste because the term was never clearly defined to begin with. So there we go. I now have my claim, and notice it's correcting me, and I have my quote, but I got to make sure that I include my phrases, right? So let's go ahead and do the text says, right? So that's a nice easy one. The text says, put that right before my quote, make sure I put my quotation marks in, and I am done. Okay, so now I'm going to challenge you to finish this whole sheet, and you're going to have ones down here that are much broader and much less directed, but I believe you can do it. Let me know if you need any help. Bye.